Hello and welcome back to In the Business, the podcast for young entrepreneurs. In this episode, we spoke to George Pennell. He is a founder who has set up Vivo Clean. It's a cleaning company based in Suffolk, and it's a very successful company. And it's great to see that you can build successful companies off very almost simple service-based ideas. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Thank you for joining us, George. May not know you. How do you introduce yourself, and what is Vivo Clean all about?
My name is George Pennell, so I'm the managing director of Vivo Clean. We are a commercial cleaning company based in Ipswich. That's where our HQ is, but we do have cleaning contracts, across Suffolk, into Norfolk, into Cambridgeshire and Essex a little bit as well. We've also got a couple of sites in London too. So, but our bread and butter is everything right here in Ipswich and in Suffolk as well. So,
Yeah. Have you always wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Not especially. Like it's not really anything that's kind of grabbed me from a young age. I've spent quite a few years just doing various different jobs and not really knowing exactly what I wanted to do. I'm 35 now, and I started Vivo Clean when I was 30. So it was, it took me a little while to sort of like find the path that I wanted to go down. But now I'm doing what I am doing now, and working as an entrepreneur is, I don't think I could work for anyone else again now. This is me.
You're calling for it now.
What actually got you into the world of cleaning and facilities management? Because it's not like the most, desired thing, so to speak, to go into. So what pulled you into that?
No, it's not really, and it's quite funny. I'll go in and I'll speak to clients and when I go for meetings or if I'm networking and things like that. So did you do, what were you doing management and cleaning before? And no, never. It's never really been anything that I've had, prior knowledge or experience in. For me, I was on furlough as a recruitment consultant. I was a senior recruitment consultant working within the construction industry. I was on furlough when COVID hit, and no one could really sort of do anything, and that kind of gave me a lot of thinking time. I thought, what, this is a great opportunity to maybe plan and do something completely different, something for myself. So I'd already decided during that point, right, I need to, I want to be my own boss. I want to start a company. I want to start a business, but I literally didn't have any idea as to what avenue I was going to go down. But during that time, everyone needed cleaning. There was no vaccines in sight. We didn't know how long we were going to be living like we were living. That was the one industry, or one of a few industries, that was, if anything, growing and getting bigger at that moment in time. So it was more actually spotting the gap in the market, and sort of like going after that. But I think a lot of the skills that I've got from working within recruitment and other sectors they're all transferable. Winning a client, winning a contract, finding a good person to then put into that job. That's basically been my model here. So yeah, it's all transferable. Learn the clean in second. Sure. We'll deal with that later.
Yeah. Vivo Clean now, I was looking at your website, you got 10,000 happy customers, 20,000 cleans under your belt. So what was the very first step you took to getting this business launched?
So I had a car which was worth about $3,000, and I sold that. So that was the first step, and actually coincidentally at the time of me starting the business, I just bought my first house. So I just got a mortgage. That was smart, jacking in your job and going out on your own. Just got married as well. So that was something else that I had to deal with at the time, which is obviously not cheap. So there was kind of a lot going on at the moment in time. So it was all a little bit bonkers, really. So I thought, well, to it, I'm going to sell my car, use that to get insurances under my belt. I used GoDaddy to create a very basic website. Spent about £1,000 on sort of cleaning the equipment, and spent the other sort of like £1,000 on getting a very old van, where the clutch sort of moved from side to side, and the windows didn't work, and the radio didn't work, and there was no aircon, but it was the start, and I got that branded, and that was that
Amazing.
was the
A
that was the
branded
kind of
van. That is cool. That is a dream.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So that was the beginning of things, really, and kind of just sort of move forwards from there, really.
Yeah. Well, what compelled you to take that risk? I mean, selling a car, investing in the cleaning equipment, that is quite a big financial risk at a very early stage in your business. What compelled you to take that risk?
Well, you know, I think financially it was, you know, it was almost quite low risk in a sense in terms of financially, because there's some businesses that you can start out there which, people plow their life savings into, and you've got, people could be chucking 20, 30 grand at it. I think the risk for me was, going from a job that paid quite well, and I had commission, and I could live a comfortable lifestyle. Going from that at a time of just buying my first house, I think that was the risk. Um, but it just felt like a little bit of a now or never moment, really. And I think, when I still suffer from imposter syndrome a little bit to this day, but at the time it was really, really heightened. But just kind of had conviction, conviction in what I was doing, and conviction in my actions, and just being confident, really, and pushing myself out there. Um,
Sure. Okay. So you got your branded van, got your gear. What about that very first client, like the very first person that booked you? How did you get that opportunity?
Um, so that was kind of like a mate that was
Yeah.
that was kind of helping me out, really. So shout out Bradley Potter from Potter's Estate Agents, based in Woodbridge, and yeah, he saw what I was doing, and I'd just kind of launched. And being an estate agents, they often need end of tenancies, and that sort of cleaning. And he booked an oven clean with us, and that was our very first job. So all great, we've got an oven clean. Thought, well, I'm not doing it myself, so stuck an advert up to recruit a cleaner. Obviously not, I need a cleaner to clean an oven. It was, you know, effectively sort of like casual work, and yes, you'll get bits and pieces of, no guaranteed hours, etc. But in my
Yeah.
head, it was just for this oven. So I interviewed
Sure.
3 people to clean an oven, which is a bit mental. Um, so yeah, so hired someone, they cleaned the oven, didn't do a terrific job. Claire, the other director, she ended up kind of like finishing it off to make sure it was good. So a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into that 50 quid that we earned then. Uh, but it was the start of things, and
Yeah.
and and it's coincidental actually. I was looking back through our accounting software just yesterday, and having a little bit of a look back at some of our first invoices, and I saw that invoice, and I thought, yeah, I think that's probably a good opportunity to maybe print that off and get that in a frame somewhere in the office, because where we
No,
are
definitely.
now compared to then is night and day, really. So
Yeah. So you mentioned that very first cleaner that didn't do a great job. How do you sort of go about the hiring process? Because that can be quite tricky. Then you get people who don't perform to the standards your company has set.
you know what, it is really tricky. It's a complete minefield, and I think particularly with cleaning as well, you're dealing with people from all different walks of life who might come in to look for cleaning work. You can get people who are, I don't know, they could be studying at university. We've had doctors, engineers. We've had all sorts of different people work for us on a part-time basis, to top up their income, or to support them when they're studying. People who are, maybe just out of work, or maybe they've. We've had lawyers. I think we've got a lawyer working for us now, but she's had children, and she's looking just to get herself out of the house. So we have people who are kind of, you know, from different echelons of society. We've also got people who maybe things like cleaning is all they know. So it's a very varied workforce. But in terms of hiring the right people, very difficult to tell on an interview for cleaning. You just kind of need to get them out there. But I think what our job is to uh, wrap enough support around the cleaners to ensure that they're able to maximise their own performance. So when every single member of staff joins us, we put them through qualification. So COSH, manual handling, loan working at heights, anything that we think they need specific to their job, but they normally get, the three basic ones. And they get on-site training as well. So we don't just, that's the address, that's the office you're cleaning. The cleaning cupboards at the back, off you go. They'll get shadowed with, by a manager or a supervisor for their first 2 or 3 cleans to help them get to
Okay,
where
sure.
they need
Yeah.
to get to. So,
Interesting. Yeah.
just try and offer as much support as we can,
Yeah.
to allow people to be the best selves, really.
Sure. So, I mean, I imagine a young entrepreneur that's about to hire someone would be quite confused about all the sort of regulations and what sort of contracts and what's the law and what are the rules. How did you find out that at an early stage? Are there any sort of resources that someone can go to?
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, complete minefield for me. I didn't have a clue about what I was doing with any of that. Um, yeah, there's plenty of resource online. I've still got on like my Apple account on like your favorites that you can see on your iPhone on Safari. I've still got tabs that are there like how to start a cleaning business and how to employ and stuff like that. So honestly, I've still got them. I don't want to delete them because I quite like them. I think it's quite
No,
nice.
sure.
Right. So I've still got all of those there. So there's so much stuff online that you can find. There are some great individuals that you can speak to, who do things like HR, sort of like privately. That's kind of their own company. If you kind of want a more cost-effective model, but maybe you are happy to commit to something a little bit longer term, we work with a company called Bright HR, and they are kind of a one-stop shop for everything. But they do like to tie you into sort of like at least a 2 or 3 year sort of like agreement. But actually, if you've only got 3 or 4 members of staff, what you pay is very, very cheap. You're not talking much
Interesting.
money at
Okay.
all. It's really, really worth it. And they have all the resources and stuff built into the website. So if you need any, various documents, so employee contracts, various different types, if you need, things like, I don't know, disciplinary letters and things like that, they have everything on there. And there will be similar companies to Bright HR, but yeah, from my experience, that's who we
Yeah.
are with. So they've worked
Is
really
that the main thing? Just talking to someone who knows the rules about all this, all this?
absolutely, and that's kind of how we've got to where we are today is through networking, is through getting to know good people, and actually, you don't always need to pay for services and for people's time. If you get yourself out there, connect with good people on LinkedIn, go to networking events, it's amazing how much you can pick up from other people. People are always happy to give up their time to help. If it's a snippet of a 10-minute conversation or a quick chat that you have with someone on LinkedIn, you can pick up a hell of a lot from people.
No,
So,
for sure.
and it's
I
the
lo-
same with me too. If someone approaches me and wants to have you know, "Oh, George, what do you think about this? We're having this situation at the moment." I'll always sit there and have 20-minute chat with someone just to help guide them through. So,
Did you have a mentor in those early stages? 'Cause a lot of people have had on, the one thing they've always said as advice is get a mentor, get a mentor. Did you
yeah.
have someone that you looked up to or tried to
Um,
take their advice?
yeah, I did. No one in specific. There, I kind of like had an array. So, I had I worked closely with a guy called Jamie Wilcox. He's a like a business coach, but specific for the cleaning industry. So he was useful. He taught me a few things, but that was more very specific stuff to the cleaning industry. But there's so many people that I admire based here in Suffolk, who have lent an ear and
Yeah,
given me guidance, and it's very difficult to pinpoint it just to one person,
sure.
really.
Well, I think that's the nice thing about the online world is that you can sort of pick and choose. You don't have to be meeting with someone every week. You can follow them and see the advice that they share, or even podcasts. They might be on podcasts. You listen to those.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, what took Vivo Clean from like a hustle that's cleaning ovens to a proper business? When did you start getting more and more clients?
So it was sort of year one, really. It really did kind of ramp up. So we launched the business in January 2021. That's when we sort of like officially went live. The first job was beginning of February. That was when that oven clean was. And then we were doing a bit of domestic. So we were cleaning, Mrs. Smith's house down the road for, a couple of hours every couple of weeks. And we had a few little things like that we were doing. But then we also, started picking up the odd commercial cleaning contract. So cleaning someone's office once a week for 3 hours, and things started to build up. And then one day in early April that year, I got a phone call from a producer from Sister Pictures, and they were working on a TV series called The Power, which was based.
I wanted to ask you about this. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were. This was kind of like, and this is as much as what running a business is like. It's kind of right place, right time, seize the opportunity. So they called us because they were looking for a commercial cleaning company locally. So they're all based in London. They normally have a team following them around, but because of COVID, they wanted someone local. Now they were building a £3 million set in Bordsey in Suffolk, and they just wanted a cleaning company to come in and have people there to clean all the compound toilets for all the builders, all the crew and everything like that, just for about 6 weeks, 2 months whilst they were getting that together. So we had sort of like 3 people there full time. And for us at the time, that was massive. Like, that was huge. That was so
Yeah.
good.
It's amazing.
So that was great. But then we were coming towards the end of that, and they said, look, we start filming in August. Would you guys be happy to stay on for the filming? So I was like, yes, obviously, that would be great.
Wouldn't be
'Cause we were
saying no.
Yeah, because we were doing a really good job. And again, because of COVID, they needed so many cleaners. They couldn't bring their usuals from London because so they were testing everyone every day. If someone tested positive, they'd have to pay for them to go to a hotel for 2 weeks to isolate, and it just wouldn't have worked. So they said, yes, would you mind staying on? So I said, yes, absolutely. What do you guys need? And they were like, 15 during the day and 10 overnight. I was like, what? That was pretty crazy. They said we need all these consumables, all these cleaning equipment and stuff like that. And at that point, we had no money in the bank. We had no credit with any cleaning suppliers and stuff. And they wanted like 30 grand's worth of stock. So I said, no, don't worry, we'll sort that out. We'll sort that out for you. So they were really accommodating because they knew where we were on our journey, but they trusted us. And across that sort of 4-month period, net profit wise, we probably made about 40 grand on that. So for us at that moment in time, that was just so big. And then what that enabled us to do was then okay, how can we utilize this money that we've made? That wasn't, well done, George, you can book a holiday. You've been in business 6 months. Off you go.
Reinvesting it straight away.
Yeah, just look to how we can reinvest it and how we can grow. So I've spoken to so many people who run businesses, and sometimes it's just little moments. You need to be in the right place, the right time, a little bit of luck, because that's what it was. They happened to call us. Obviously,
But building on that, so the right place, the right time.
Yeah.
Do you have like a social media presence? Like, how did they? Is it just you were doing so many jobs that it's kind of inevitable that something something like this would eventually come along?
We weren't paying for SEO services at the time, but in our first sort of like 3 months, we were doing a lot of vendor tenancies, a lot of house cleans, and I was pushing, clients to leave us reviews. So I don't know, maybe we were just near the top at that moment in time. But
Yeah.
even then, we were advertised as domestic and commercial. We weren't even, I don't really know why they kind of picked us. I think they might have been calling a few, but I obviously got on well with the chap on the phone, and they just.
Well, that's often what it's about in the end, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. People buy off people, so it worked quite well. So it was huge for us.
Yeah,
Do you
amazing.
pay for SEO now?
So yes, yeah. We work with Tony Southgate. I think you've had him on before, haven't you?
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, small
so
world.
We work with Tony. He's a great guy. So yeah, we work with him.
Have you seen big improvements since you've started upping your presence
Yeah,
on Google?
yeah. Our online presence has grown quite a lot, really, in the last 12 or so months since we've been working with Tony. It's never like an overnight fix, you know. It's something that you need to keep building and
Yeah,
tweaking and adjusting all the
sure.
time. But yeah, it's really helping us. I've always been looked to be really big on the socials as well. So we're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. So look to try and post something every day. But I think the
Okay.
challenge that you have with that is, who wants to hear about cleaning every day? Not even me. And
There'll
I
be
own a
someone.
cleaning company. So, you know, you sort of try to go down the levels of
Yeah.
like, 70, 80% just football, dogs, whatever else. I look at all this fun stuff that's happening. And then, by the way, we do cleaning, just sort of once a week, you
I
know.
saw a video. I saw a video where you got surprised. No, you got scared by someone was hiding in a bin bag and they
Yeah.
jumped out at you.
Yeah, that's it. I just went to go visit one of our clients, and then like the manager was like, "Oh, one of your cleaners like left this bag of stuff over here. I don't really know what it was." And I was so trusting. I was like, "Oh, okay," but it was all a bloody setup, and they're all sitting there, one little covertly recording like that with their phone, and then yeah,
Oh,
just too
genius.
trusted. And a couple of my friends were like, "George, that was so set up. You're just like you've egged that on for like likes and for interaction. That little scream I did was genuine, which is that."
Harrison, I think you need to go and check that out if you haven't done it already.
Yeah.
Great video.
Yeah. Want to hear me scream? Then,
Yeah,
that's one way of doing it.
we'll link it in the episode description. So,
Bro,
how has technology sort of changed the way you work? Have you integrated with any sort of apps or AI even? Has anything like that sort of changed your business?
um, so we're working with AI more and more. I feel like it's a huge time saver. Even if it kind of gets the bare basics done, so things like if you're doing a presentation for a prospective client, when when ChatGPT starts to learn who you are and and what your business does. I mean, it's just incredible, really. Like, it still astounds me sometimes. I'll stick in like a paragraph worth of prompts and then press enter, and like within 30 seconds, you've just got all of this. So yeah, things like that is amazing. Like, it's putting some of these presentations together that could take me half a day or even a day, but then that becomes like an hour job, really. You put in all the prompts you need, maybe spending an hour editing it and putting it to exactly how you want, but then so that saves virtually a whole day. So things like that, it's great for. So we do use it there. Working with Bright HR as well. So we've got our own app with Bright HR, which all our staff use. So that's really, really useful. So for the offices that we clean or wherever it is we're cleaning, we set up a geo fence around the location where we're working. So that's really, really useful. So staff can only clock it out when they're on site. So it's peace of mind for the clients. They know what they're getting, what they're paying for, but also from a health and safety point of view for us, if we've got a member of staff who is lone working, cleaning an office, and they're meant to finish at 7, but it's like 8:15 and I haven't clocked out, then the line manager will call them and say, "Is everything okay?" "Yes, I just forgot to clock out. Really sorry." "Okay, don't do it again." Or, "Yep, I've fallen down the stairs and I can't move."
Yeah.
So it's really good from a health and safety point of view.
No,
So
sure. Yeah.
so we look to utilize technology as much as possible, really, and we'll continue to look to grow with it as well. So.
In the business, what's a hidden complexity that you face?
It's a really good question, actually. Hidden complexity.
Well, I suppose people imagine it's quite a simple business. I'm sure it's not. But
Yeah,
what do people not really see?
yeah. Do you know what? I think it is just kind of like all the around the clock stuff, and like, fortunately, I don't have to deal with it myself now. Because I've got wonderful management and supervisors that kind of deal with this, but. You can imagine if people are getting their office cleaned or warehouse or wherever it is, a lot of the time it's going to be out of hours. So that can either be in the evening or sometimes first thing in the morning. So getting phone calls at sort of like 5 in the morning, oh, I can't come in today. and, but then having to, boom, right, I need to react. Okay. So I need to call my mobile team. Right. Can you get down over there? After you've done that, can you go there? Or sometimes the managers will just have to go do it themselves because they can't get cover down there. And it's really, really difficult. And it's something that we pride ourselves on as a business. We put so much in place in terms of mobile cover and the systems we've got in place to ensure we don't miss cleans. I mean, sometimes it can happen if it's 5 minutes for a shift. We might get there a little bit later or whatever, but that's one of the big complaints that we get from clients that we go and see if we're tendering for a contract, because other cleaning companies don't have that in place. So one of the hidden things we do, which clients don't understand necessarily, the blood, sweat, and tears that that go on behind the scenes to make sure that we get that covered. We could have someone call in sick on a, could call in sick tonight for their Friday morning clean, and then our mobile cleaner calls in sick, but we'll still get there. We'll do it somehow. We'll make it work if
You
we're
got
a
the
little bit
systems in
late.
place. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, I guess things like that, and like I say, I'm in a very privileged position now where I don't have to receive those phone calls at those times. But for the first 2 or 3 years, yeah, you better believe my days were 14, 16-hour days, and
Yeah.
taking all those phone calls and having
That's the
to
reality of it.
phone
Yeah.
cover, and but yeah, that's a real tough part of the job that you don't see on social media, or the clients don't ever really hear about. They
Yeah,
don't even know.
exactly.
They don't even know we've covered it sometimes. It just looks the same. They don't even know we've had to swap things around. They just come in, the office is clean, it's a normal day. So
I imagine the app helps a lot with that as well. Just the whole like managing the people
yeah,
process of things.
no, it really does. It really does, and it helps make people accountable, and we can log things like sickness as well, and people can see their own sickness levels on there as well. So look, people get ill. It happens, but it's kind of trying to spot the ones that are maybe not always that ill.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But just before we start to wrap up the conversation, have there been any challenges along the way that you've faced? And like, did you ever doubt that it could scale into the company it has today?
Do you know what? I don't think I've ever doubted it. Like in terms of where we're at now. Um, you know, I've never really doubted it. I've always kind of had the process, and each year we've kind of grown year on year. So 250 turnover the first year, 580 in the second, and it's just kept on scaling and scaling and scaling. So I've never really doubted it because the process has been there and the process has been working. I think the key challenges that we face is bringing other people into the business, and myself and the other director, Claire, who's more on like the HR account side of things. It's us letting go of some of our duties that we've done to build the business to get it to where it is, and then putting that trust in other people. And trust is sort of like the key word, really. So I think that's always been a bit of a challenge, really. Is kind of, look, it works, but if you want to get to from here to here, you can't do it all yourself. You need other people to jump on board and help.
Sure. Yeah.
So look, I think staffing as a whole is always the greatest challenge, and integrating people and getting people to do it your way. So but it's one, touch wood, that we're doing pretty well at. There's been 1 or 2 hiccups along the way. Nothing's ever perfect, but yeah, that's probably the biggest challenge, I would say.
Sure. Where do you see the company going in, say, 5 years' time? What's the future for Vivo Clean?
More of the same, to be honest. I mean, I think we'll continue to keep growing. I think we've got a really good presence here in Ipswich and in Suffolk. We do have a little bit further afield, but we've barely scratched the surface in Suffolk, really, and we're already at a size now where I never really dreamed would maybe be quite this size after 4.5, nearly 5 years. So yeah, we're 150 members of staff now. 5 years time, I'd like to be 500 plus, and just keep going up. But I think the key thing for us is we're not here to make quick money. It's This is very much a long-term thing. You know, customer satisfaction is absolutely key. Retaining all of our existing clients is really important for us. So, you know, we want to do a really good job, and you know, I want to have a really good reputation. You know, I don't want to walk into a room with loads of business people when we're networking and think, oh God, yeah, Vivo, you know, stitching people up, not doing a very
Yeah.
good job. You know, I want to continue to do what we're really good at. And that is obviously the challenge. When you get bigger, you've got more members of staff. How can you keep those levels when you start getting bigger and start scaling up? So that's what we're working on all the time, is putting systems in place, processes in place to ensure that, you know, all our clients still get the same high levels of service that they do now, you know, in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So.
Sure. Well, it's been great to talk to you today. Just before we let you go, I've got one final question. So if there's a young person who has a business idea and they're thinking about starting, what would be just a simple bit of advice that you would give them?
So in terms of, a couple of things. So if you were looking at thinking, if you're like me and you thought, I don't really know what I want to do, you don't always have to watch Dragon's Den and think, oh, that's a really cool invention. It doesn't always need to be something brand new that no one's done before. So, you know, first of all, when you're thinking about the business that you might be looking to do, maybe look to solve real problems. So like cleaning, that is a problem. It could be gardening. It could be, whatever it might be, so solve real world problems. Great if you've got a funky idea, absolutely, please go with it. I'm not saying don't do it, but don't feel like you can't start a business because you haven't got a really novel idea. So look at what the real world problems are and try and solve them. And then, in terms of once you've kind of got to that point and you've got your business, is don't wait until you necessarily feel ready, as counterproductive as that sounds. You will learn along the way. You can keep waiting and waiting and waiting until you think you've got everything in place. Just get started, honestly, because you'll surprise yourself once you start. Once you get going, you'll surprise yourself. So, there's so much learning
Definitely.
along the way. I've been going, let's say, nearly 5 years. Pretty much every day there's something popping up. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's useful, and I'm still learning all of the time. So, even speaking to you, gents, here today, being on a business podcast is educational for me. Just sitting here talking about my business and things like that. So this is a learning experience for me. So yeah, don't wait until you feel 100% ready. Just go for
No, I
it.
think that's a big thing. Just like you're never really going to feel 100% ready, are you? When you're starting a new
Absolutely.
idea, just got to
Absolutely.
dive in the deep end.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us. That's been really, really useful. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed that episode. One thing I really liked about that episode was the fact that it is, so to speak, a normal company. It's something that anyone could start. It's nothing too out there, crazy, unique.
No, I thought that was a really interesting episode. Like you said, it's not something that would be on Dragon's Den, but
Yeah.
it's a very profitable, lucrative business. And often a lot of young entrepreneurs can get bogged down in trying to find the next unique product. And often doing a sort of business-to-business company that offers a service that everyone needs is more achievable. And obviously it's not a simple business. No business is simple to build and make successful, but you don't need to think too outside the box to get a great idea that is lucrative. That's what I took away from the episode.
Exactly that. And you know what it is? It's about doing the basics really, really well.
So thinking during the episode that it's actually quite a genius idea because everyone always needs cleaning. It's almost more genius than trying to set up some unique thing. He's found the market and it will always be there, no matter even in COVID, he had jobs. Even in whatever the state of the economy, people are going to be wanting cleaning.
Yeah, it's definitely AI proof as well. Which,
100%. Yeah, you can't get a robot to scrub your floors, can you?
Not yet, anyway.
Well, no, it's a great conversation, and George, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And remember to, I forget them all the time.
Like, subscribe, comment,
follow,
everything.
Share the word. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. See you at the next episode.
In a bit.